where we give you free legal advice. I don't get to, but I'm here today with the one and only Barrister Adana. Good morning. So dressed in.
It's my birthday.
Oh, excited. So she's so excited and she's looking good. Yes. So, is this the part where we get to?
No, I can't
It's
say how
not
old I am. I'm just
really?
happy. It's my birthday.
All right, then good to have you. We missed you on Friday.
Thank you.
But we're
Thank you so much.
so on Probono Chambers, like I said, we offer free legal advice to you. So if you are currently in any legal situation, questions about what to do, what next to do because you've tried almost everything you think of, feel free to share your thoughts with her. I'm sure she would have a thing or two to tell you as well. In the meantime, for today, we want to start by focusing on this subject, child adoption. What is child adoption? Just in case, just in case. I will just tell you that you don't have a child. Sometimes people, usually those people. I know they carry out some documentation, but that's basically what she'll be telling us the entire process on the program today. So, what is child?
Okay, child adoption is a process where a person assumes parenting of another, usually a child below the age of 17. And in Nigeria here, when child adoption is done, there's total transfer of rights and responsibility from either the biological or legal parents of the child to the person who is adopting. So that means you have to really take care of the welfare of that child if you're
Take
adopting.
full responsibility.
Exactly. So in our society, we are basically putting a frown on child adoption, so it's not totally accepted in every state here in Nigeria. But then some states has accepted child adoption, and then there've been legal structures and social structures that have been put in place to encourage persons who are willing to give home to the homeless and the person who needs succor, as in a lot of people who don't have children, to have the ability to adopt children
Yeah,
themselves.
there are people who would love to have. Fortunately,
Exactly.
do not. The society doesn't really encourage them to bring them up. About this, there's a law about
1965, that has been placed to any adopt, but then there's been one issue to the other,
so
down
all
to
the way back since
65.
there's
Before,
been an act for this, and yet it's
oh yes,
not gotten the much support.
but
But have
then
things changed now?
oh
We
yeah,
have, yeah.
it has changed. It has changed. I'm going to go down to that part where I'll talk about the legality of child adoption in Nigeria. But then Winfrey once said that there are a lot of wanted as well as some. So biology is a list of one proving to be that one being a good. So there's a need for our children who are homeless homes. There's a need for people who don't have. That's why the law had come in place, as well as other structures. There's a law which is Child Rights Act 2003. They will have the United Nations for children, enable people to adopt. And the Child Rights Act had gone further to provide videos and the preconditions the person must fulfill for you child. For you, one of which I'm going to mention, for you to be able to adopt a child, you must be up to the age of 25. Now, if you have to adopt, or you should be 21 years older than the baby you're adopting. Now, if you have to give out your child for adoption in Nigeria, your child should be at more than a year before you can give out your child for adoption, and it has to be willingly done. And the court also can give an order for adoption process to take place, and the court has a right to also revoke an adoption process.
Let me just, before you can open a child up, that has to be
At least a year.
And willingly done, you say?
Yes, willingly done.
Okay. I'm just thinking at this point, because who would want to do that? I mean, what are that when the child is that young? How do we differentiate that from those who, in a way, I would tell
if a person is willingly giving out their child for adoption, they have to go through the legal processes that have been stated. And that is, you have to pass through the courts, stating that you have consented for these people to adopt your child, for the person who is adopting. Yeah? Okay. And the person who is adopting must provide certain documents, fill the preconditions, one of which must either provide your certificate of marriage or declaration of marriage. That's for married couples. You must also provide your certificate of birth or for declaration of age for yourself. Passport photographs. You have to also go get medical tests for fitness from a government. You have to get a police report to state that you are not being convicted of any criminal offense, or you're not.
That's for the person that wants to
adopt the child, who is being willingly given by the mother. You know. Now, instances where people can give their child to another for adoption is where you know you can't take care of that child, where you have people of teenage pregnancies, that the person who can actually give out their child for adoption, but then the legal process has to be followed before that is certified. Now, if the courts perceives that the person who is trying to adopt the child had influenced the parents of the child, the biological parents of the child, either by bribing or favors or undue influence, they can revoke the adoption.
So I actually wanted to ask now, if we're talking about all the legalities of money involved.
Oh yes, there are fees that are compulsorily paid. I'm not going to be mentioning that. It depends on the child service provider, which is the orphanage home. Exactly. The orphanage home has to be legalized. They are the ones who are the child service providers. So they are the ones who you go and make applications to. Or you could go to a magistrate court, a high court, family court, where the child is situated to make all these applications.
What if it's a person? What if it's, a one-on-one arrangement? You know the family and you know that they are willing to give up. Would you still
go through those procedures? Okay.
That would also be based.
Not a personal decision, but it's every citizen of this country is owned of the. So if a child must be adopted, even if we're sisters and I'm trying to adopt my sister's child, I have to go through the provisions of the law to show that my sister is consenting, or when my sister is not present, my grandparents cannot take care of the child, so I am the one who can take care of the child. So I have to go through the procedures to obtain the proper rights over that child.
That's even for a child you're related to by blood.
Exactly, yes. But then as a single person in Nigeria, you're not permitted to adopt a child except where that child is related to you. And
really?
Exactly.
Why?
That's because of instances of child abuse, child molestation, child trafficking, and the rest of them. Especially sexual exploitation too.
That can happen even with.
Well, that is the provision of
discrimination against single people.
No, but then you can adopt as a single person where you're related to the child. Yes, you're related to the child, you can adopt. But you still have to go through the procedures to get the proper consent. Make your applications to the right authorities. There are people who,
for whatever reason, they are, just there getting old. they may just feel a need to adopt,
They
and
can
may not,
adopt.
no, but they may not have from their relative to adopt. So, and they want to go to any orphanage. So
They
you
have
look at
to
them and
adopt.
tell them because they're not married, and it may
They
not
have
be their
to.
fault.
They have to adopt same sex.
Okay, so if they must be
If they
given the
must adopt, they
permission, it
must,
will have
yes,
to be
same
same
sex,
sex.
and the order of the courts must be granted to them to adopt, so they can. Do you have further questions? Ask me.
But of course, there will definitely be more questions, even if not from me, from the callers. But then we're just stopping here at this point that okay, eventually they will be able to adopt, but they need to have.
Yes. Then the Nigerian Constitution, yeah,
Yeah.
recognizes adoption of children, like I said. Then you don't have to adopt. You can adopt more than. Adopt.
What if you have a need for more? Really, I mean, like you want a big family.
You have to prove that you can take care of at least the two you have.
Okay, so with time
Okay.
they can take off more. But then I'm also interested in the whole process. Perhaps it's one of the reasons why I'm open to it.
Yeah.
How difficult or easy to go through this process.
Getting a child is not like going to the market and buying it. The process is really full. That's why certain preconditions have been placed for everybody to follow if you must adopt a child. However, if those preconditions are not fulfilled, it's the penalty of the law for issues concerning child trafficking and the rest of them. Yeah. So if you have to adopt, like I stated, one, you must up to the age of 25 to be married. Your spouse is late, you have your certificate of marriage, declaration of, you have your birth certificates or declaration of it, sorry. You'd have your medical report stating that
Mentally
you're
okay.
mentally and physically fit
That's
to take
quite
care of the
important.
child. And then you should make an application to the child service providers, child adoption service
Okay.
providers. Legalize one of that, yeah. Don't apply to those. You can apply to the courts for child. They will in turn match you with the child, and the medical history of the child will also be reviewed. Adopting, we're going to have counseling sections concerning the adoption of the child, so that they can actually state if you are fit enough to serve as a parent to the
Yeah, I
child.
see sometimes in movies, some of these parents are very characteristic. Hollywood, those children. Do we have what you're saying? Is there any time what under you have to just you can't out
Okay, the applicants are usually investigated by the child development workers who are like the officers. So they are all usually put on under investigation for a period of time. There's no time frame because all of this service providers, child adoption service providers are friends. And their procedures, even if these preconditions must be good, they have a procedure of which like a time frame right in the how they go about child. There's no prescribed time frame for investigating persons who then they are really investigated how the social how the
so when everything is have
yes, and the child can also inherit.
because I wanted to ask about what if child that they can actually even if you may have taken
That's when
even
the
if
child is grown, yeah.
oh yeah with time yes
There's been a legal procedure that's the goal of this child. So if the child was able to parents afterwards, then they should come back to where they started from. Come to the courts but then process.
If the parents office well,
When
and then
the
they come and they say they want their
when the
right.
child, no, they can't say they want their child. Totally the consent of the child who has now become an adult. They like to go, you know, no longer in the position of any of the
The
parents
biological
to,
parents.
yes, to drag the child around because the process had.
Well, that's interesting. Feel free to be a part of the conversation. Call us up if that bothers or any. The number to call is 08 Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Fine, thank you. Good morning. Hello.
Are you with me? My name is Pastor UB Efranka.
Hey. Welcome.
Are you with me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
All right. In this case, the matter concerning child adoption, I want to ask a question. In the case of the mother or the parent of this child is from a religion or a religious woman, say a Christian or a Muslim. What will happen if somebody comes from a Muslim family to adopt a child from a Christian home?
Okay, thank you for your question, sir.
Hello?
Yes, can you hear me, sir?
Are you with me?
Yes, I'm listening to you. Thank you for your question. Can you hear me?
Have you got the question?
Yes. I have a question now. If you can hear me,
So what
you
is the
listen.
answer? Is there any law pertaining to that?
No. There's none. There's no law discriminating religion as to adoption. However, adoption is solely on the parents of the child. If the parents are alive, they are the ones who are to give their consent for the child to be adopted.
So it also applies that...
No, it doesn't apply to whatever religion you are. If you're able to fulfill the preconditions that are stated.
What you are saying is that it could be somebody from a Muslim family or Christian family can adopt the child.
Yes.
Now, what if somebody is from the other religion? Maybe the secret society or same-sex, that is a married family.
All right, so that's why we have the child development officers who investigate the persons who are applying to adopt. So they must find you.
I can't hear you clearly, but...
Okay, can you put off your radio?
Okay, yeah. Maybe you should just end the call, then you listen to her through the radio.
I can hear you now. I can hear you now.
Don't worry, just listen to the radio, okay? Just end the call. Yes.
Listen to the radio.
Yes, please.
Because the network may be, interfering to some extent. However, okay, so we'll go on a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll just answer this question. I'm sure you will not go away, so just stay.
Your right, my right, our right. Everybody's right is protected. Human Rights Radio 101.1, redefining broadcasting.
Human Rights Radio.
Ọ bụ ife eji esi nri, ọ bụ akwa na akpụkpọ ụkwụ, ka ọ bụ akpa ụmụ gị ji eje akwụkwọ na ife iji achọ mma. Gbalubịa Halibis Mall, isi ụlọ ngwaahịa anyị dị na +660 Cadastral Zone B1, Franca Febua Crescent Zone E, Apo Legislative Quarters, Gudu District, Abuja. Anyị nwekwara ụlọ ngwaahịa anyị ọzọ na Number 1 Medical Center Road, Maraba, Abuja. Nke ikpeazụ bụ na Number 21 Sariki Meizabo Road, opposite FMC, Kefi, Nasarawa State. Gwa anyị na ekwentị. Akara ekwentị ị ga-eji nweta anyị bụ 08159 ka mkpọkwa ya n'olu ndị iti 08159510000. Halibis Mall nwere ife niile ị chọrọ n'ofu ebe. Ngwaahịa anyị adịrị ọnụ ma dịrị mma nke ukwuu. Gbalubịa na Halibis Mall. Nnọọ.
Human Rights Radio.
Join our diverse team of legal experts as we provide education and guidance to you, our listeners, on a broad array of issues raised by the modern legal landscape, absolutely free on Probono Chambers, airing on Human Rights Radio 101.1 FM, redefining broadcasting.
Human Rights Radio.
Before staying with us, we're still on to Probono Champ. With Barrister. Taking it at we went to religious or spiritual state mind of it.
Yeah. So I'll talk about main aim from US law or structures put in place was a child protects, safeguard life of a child. However, certain structures have been put in place, like the child welfare and the development welfare in states, and where you can go as an application. So what he's saying, the likable substance that's high instances for adoption of a child. So there's been put in place social development officers who do investigations on applicants. These investigations are not just done within a day and done with, yeah. There are preconditions that have been stated for a person who wants to adopt a child. So even if you provide all of the preconditions that has been stated, it doesn't qualify you yet to be proper for adoption.
That's if all your papers.
Yes, intact, correct. It doesn't still qualify you. So they need to go further and make investigation of your person, you know, where you stay, your person, ask people questions about you.
Because people can just come and sell an idea to you and pretend and like they're...
Exactly. So before you can be allowed to adopt a child. So, you know, he talked about religion being a prerequisite for adoption of a child. And the Child Rights Act never mentioned anything like that. That's why when I mentioned the preconditions that you must fulfill, I didn't put any form of religion there. Okay. That is because everybody under the law of Nigeria is allowed to adopt a child. So you have a right to actually adopt a child. So regardless of your religion, there's no distinction here. So the child you're adopting, you're taking the child into your home to be treated as yours. So that has to also abide by your religion. However, if you're adopting this child from parents who already has a religion, they are consenting to it, so they should be consenting to also transfer the rights and responsibilities that they have on that child to you, who is adopting the child yours. So that's also
which
cuts
includes
across
you teaching him whatever
religion, morals, and the rest of it.
All right, I hope that answers your question. Feel free to call us for any other question. 08189991001. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Pro Bono Chambers. What's your name?
My name is Mohammed.
Okay, Emmanuel, we're with you.
Mohammed.
Mohammed, welcome.
What is on latest?
Okay, the network is not exactly clear. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
No? I'm so sorry, Mohammed, but I think you have to call back. Your connection is quite poor. I could not make. Try and call. 0818999 is. Stay away from your radio.
Yes, I'm the first person that called.
Okay.
That's to give me a frank. I'm not satisfied with that answer.
Okay.
If that is the precondition for adopting a child, who set out this question?
Who said that what?
I want to know who set out this condition. Who are the people that set out this condition? Thank you.
Is in the Child Rights Act, sir. I mentioned earlier, yeah, the conditions were stated in the Child Rights Act. The procedure that you must, the preconditions you must do before you are qualified. So, yes. So he should pick up the Child Rights Act. Yes.
I think
Child Rights Act 2003. He should pick up Child Rights Act 2000. Yes, because there's nothing like religion. If our constitution does not recognize discrimination in religion, I don't think there's any law which has been governed or protected by or had come under our constitution that should go ultra virus. So I think you should get properly guided.
Hello.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Welcome. What's your name?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, my name is I'm calling from the center.
Okay. Good morning.
Yes, I so much this is a wonderful topic which I'm hearing in this meeting there. And I also enlightened to pursue adopting child. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, we can hear
Okay.
you.
Hello?
We can hear you.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you, sir.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Yes, like I was saying, what if somebody brought somebody from the village, taking a child from the village to give to, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, to give to somebody in township. What procedure would that person take? Even though they knew themselves, like, let me say, colleagues from the office, and then the colleagues ask their colleagues to bring somebody from the village, then what are the ways that the person would take and then collect the child?
Are you
Thank you very
taking? Are you
much.
taking the child to become like your child, your own child, or just for some time?
You know, like if somebody from different, even from different tribes.
Yes. You want to be a
Just I say-
parent? Do you want to be a parent to this child, or you just want someone who would be with you for some time?
Just someone who will stay and be working for the person.
You're talking about like, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're looking at child adoption here. So, domestic help, that would be like a different.
That's like child labor. Yes.
Yes.
If the person is a child.
Yes, that's more also like child labor. So if you're taking somebody from the village, from the person's parents,
Can you hear us?
can you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
If you're taking someone from the village, from the person's parents, and you have the consent of the person for a short term, to live with you, to work for you, that's I'm sorry, that's it's also called child labor because you're not supposed to labor any child to work under you as a help. But then if you're taking the person because you want to adopt the person for school and the person to be with you in your family house, you have to go to the magistrate court where that child was taken from, or any of the child social development centers within the state to make an application, and have all of those documents I listed submitted. You'll be investigated for a period of time before you can be given a custodian or custody of the child. Yes.
Thank you for your call.
Yes, yes.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
All right. So that's a question.
what he's saying, it's what we see every day in Nigeria. There are a lot of
Lots.
people, taking. That's why it's a bit kind of sensitive. I noticed it was even hard for you to pronounce. You said child help, child domestic worker. There's nothing like that. Yeah, a child is a child.
No,
You
but
shouldn't-
what if it's not
That is
21?
different. That's why I said when I talked about child adoption, I said the child should be
17? Right. So anybody who is like over
you've
and
consented.
you need for that person to come and help
you
you
want to be a worker. Yeah, you're a worker. You're a domestic worker. So that's normal. We recognize
So
that.
the age, makes the difference.
Yes, the age makes a difference.
Okay, so not many.
Labor. You have one at home.
Hello.
Hello.
Good morning.
Hello, good morning. My name is Prosper. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, please. Good morning.
Okay, I'm calling from Matama.
Okay.
So I want to ask one question.
Okay.
Okay, my question is that when you adopt the child as your family and you adopt it until the child grow up and start doing something and working, and the child know you that as a father and your wife as a mom. Now, later, the family of the father of the child and the mother, they come out that they want their child back. So how are you going to do?
Usually, before a person adopts a child, yes, I heard you. Yes, I heard you. Before a person adopts a child, yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you now.
All right. Before a person adopts a child, there must be certainty that either the biological parents are giving consent or the legal parents, which is like the orphanage home that is legalized, are giving consent. Can you hear me, sir?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you clearly.
Okay, can
Okay.
you put off your radio and listen
Just
to me?
end the call, okay, and then you listen from the radio.
Okay, but did you understand my question very well?
Yes,
Yes.
yes. I understand your question.
Okay, thank you. So I'll listen to you.
Thank you. So before a person is adopted, they have to do an investigation wherever the child is coming. The child is coming from biological parents. It has to be certain that the biological parents can afford to take care of the welfare of that child. That is why they are consenting to. However, if you're adopting from an orphanage home, legalized orphanage, the orphanage home is giving you the consent to take that child in your custody. So it is also known to a great extent that most children who are on orphanage home don't have known parents. So if at the point of adoption there was no phasing or no instance of a known parents that was adopted and the whole legal procedures were passed by the applicant who adopted the child, the child had grown to become an adult, parents come claim the child. The parents can't claim an adult. And if they have to make any claims at all, they have to go through the procedures of the law. They have to go and apply and state why they were not in the life of that child, what happened, what instances had led to that child being in the orphanage or in the hands of another for the child to be adopted. So in that point, it's left for the grown child who has become either consent, going back to his biological parents or staying back with the parents who has adopted him. So in most instances, it's in the adults. Yeah, the adults.
Because at that point, I don't think he's emotionally attached to them in
Exactly.
any way because
Anyway
he didn't
at
grow
all.
up with them. Fortunately.
So that bounces back to Oprah Winfrey's quotes
Yeah.
of lots of unwanted children, founded family. Biology does not determine someone.
Right? Let's say hello.
Hello?
Good morning.
Hello?
Good morning.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, you're welcome. What's your name?
My name is Excellence.
Right. Please go ahead.
All right, let me first and foremost use this opportunity to say happy birthday to your guest in the studio, Barrister Bernard.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
the topic you brought up today is a good one.
Thank you
This,
so
in
much.
Africa, we have this culture of caring for our neighbors and our families alike. So my question is, in a situation whereby a children loses both parents, maybe to a fatal accident or something, and someone decided to show care by taking responsibility to take care of those children, maybe consulting the relatives of such a child or children, is it legal or illegal? I want to get it very clear from there.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. The answer to your question is this: if the parents are no more, you go through the grandparents. But if the grandparents are no more either, you also go through the procedure in courts. You have to apply to a court to grant you an order to take care of that child based on the circumstances.
If direct parents or grandparents,
yes,
they are relatives. What he said was, you get to talk with the relatives.
Even if you talk with the relatives, you still need to go with the procedures of the court in adoption of that child. Yes, to make it legal.
Yeah,
so that
it's only your
there are no
involvement
problems.
with.
Exactly. So it doesn't become child abduction for the child. So you have to just go through
I
the
mean,
process.
I know in Africa, in Nigeria to be precise, very common experience that you just, because you know each other, you don't really like have to be. Yeah, you don't have to be
Yes,
that
but
closely
people don't
connected.
know.
You know,
Yeah.
you may just be either same village or neighboring village, but because you know each other's families, so have given raise.
There are instances where
People have done that, really.
a lot of people,
and
yeah,
have
especially
raised
in
good
villages.
children. Yeah.
Oh, that's true. That's true. And the child adoption, because of how we are in African tradition, yeah, it's kind of hard to adopt the whole procedures, the law, and all that. But then there are cases, very prevalent cases that are arising today of child abuse, child molestation, drug trafficking, criminal acts, and the rest of rituals of children. And most victims of all of these issues are usually children. You can't really pinpoint their family presence in their life. So that is why there's been a need for this law to protect that child. So people, of course, you can help your neighbor's child. You can help, house your neighbor's children, take care of them and all. But then following the procedure protects you from unforeseen circumstances. For instance, you have a child you're trying to help in fair or society, and something happens to that child, especially not to your knowledge, but then people know that you are taking care of this child because you're trying to help. The first finger points at you. Something happens to the child. That is why you need protection by law. For you to be protected, you have to provide with the
protection both for the person who is
applicant,
the guardian and then the child himself.
Oh yes, just for you to be safe from any form of legal punishment. Just follow.
All right, we have room for one final call. 0818999. Hello. Good morning. Yes, we can hear you. What's your name? Sorry?
Mohammed.
Okay, Mohammed, you're welcome.
Yes. So what is the provision of law about the dumping child that have been picking around to go and keep them in the orphanage houses? Understand?
Yes, you're asking what the provision of the law is?
Yes, concerning those children that have been picking. And picking that have been dumping around so that they have been picked and go and keep
in the orphanages.
Yes, if there are some certain allegations that some of the group of people or group of individuals used to, if the children, with all the information that I got, that some of the, if they are picking two children, they will keep the one Muslim, one Christian. So the other religion will come and pick the other one that is assigned to the other religion, not than their own. So you go and make him another religion for that matter. So it is Muslim or Christian, apart from the one that has been keeping in orphanage as a Christian, you will go and convert the other one or vice versa.
Mohammed,
that's the provision of law about that.
Mohammed, I'm trying to understand your question. Yeah, slow down. I'm really trying to understand it.
I think the first thing I heard was the provision of law for taking children to the orphanage.
Yes. Take them to the orphanage, children who have been dumped.
Yeah. The
what
provision of
happens
law.
when he's trying to say some take them, maybe they know that they are and they take, intentionally move them to
The orphanage home.
where maybe they are becoming things like that.
That is quite.
He's talking about so I couldn't really get it. It was a place that he knows of that actually does that.
Exactly.
Would have really wanted to hear exactly. That's like the.
Okay. If you have any cases like that where children are taken forcefully from their parents or from whoever gave birth to them to orphanage home, it's forcefully
what
because
he's
it's not
saying.
willingly
Because
by the parents.
these cases where you just find dumped.
Okay.
That was how he started. He said,
Oh,
all
yes,
these
I heard
dumped
him say
children,
that. The law is to protect the Child Rights Act as well as the Constitution has provided for protection, safeguarding of all citizens, especially. So if you find such child, there's no law that say if you find a child here, carry the child and go. Because those structures, they are legal and social structures, they have been put in place for these children to be safe. So if you find any child that has been dumped carelessly, whoever give social service program, orphanage that because I'm sure they are orphanage, they are legalized. If you take the child to the nearest police, I'm sure they want the right place where that is just the right. Then I heard him talk about relief. I get that. Then
but
I
like
know
what you said,
religion
the law,
thing,
not
of the child, and then when you get an offer, just that you an investigation or that can be the applicant. Now I talked about if a Muslim parent a Muslim adult, they match very vibrant the Christian. Yeah, they won't do that. So they actually match you. But then if you're adopting a baby,
baby doesn't even know they
it has nothing ever really. There's no point where there's
That's how we'll leave it on the program today. Thank you so very much for calling in. Have any questions or in subsequent
other areas of law that you
of
need
course.
clarification? Yes.
Whether she can. Right then, many thanks to you as all. Right, and that's it as well. I get to leave you, and the lady will be coming up shortly. But stay with us for more of our program is right.